Heidi-ho, neighbors. I couldn't resist, sorry. This is the PC Expert Amateur. And this weekend has been very busy for me. I was wrapping up the first phase of my Thermalright Frozen Knot 360 placement or configuration or setup testing. I did an additional 8 tests revolving around this series to try and see if doing things like taking the glass panels off or taking the dust filters off, blocking one of the panels for mounting made any difference. And I came up with some interesting results. And you can see those on bleepingcomputer.com/forums. I'll put it down below in the description so that you will be able to see it. But basically, I released some of, not all of, all of the temperature rankings based on CPU and GPU temperatures. I kind of tried to, I did a ranking from 1 to 28, so because there were 20 tests plus the 8 special tests. I had to redo a few of the tests because when I was going through the extra data that I haven't yet released, which is average effective clock speeds, CPU and thread usage, Cinebench 2024 test results or scores, as well as TimeSpy scores and frames per second, and a couple. I think there's something else that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. Let's see, what is it that I'm missing? No, that's pretty much it. And then, so the CPU and thread usage and average effective clocks are for Prime 95, Cinebench 2024, and 3D Mark TimeSpy. Those will be put on bleepingcomputer.com in the same thread at a later date, hopefully within the next several days. I haven't been feeling well because I titrated off of a medication, and it's medication that takes a while to get out of your system. I followed the instructions from the pharmacist. Unfortunately, it's kind of made me dizzy, blood pressure problems and stuff like that. So I haven't been my normal self as far as physically, and also as far as I feel dizzy all the time, and it's very annoying. Especially when I'm at work, it really impedes my ability to do my job. And also, I've got a shoulder injury that I'm wrestling with Amazon about because they're jerks. But I digress. That wasn't why I wanted to talk to you today. So I wanted to share with you some of the stuff that's up and coming as far as what I plan to do for this channel. So the first, of course, is the rest of the results from my testing so far. Like I mentioned already, comparison between the above results and the results from Norcris to highlight what the differences indicate. Comparisons with other testers' results to see if further eurekas can be found. 18 more 140 millimeter initial fan reviews. That's not all of my 140s. The Thermalright Frozen Knot 360 with a different graphics card, most likely mounted in the PCIe slot, so that all positions can be tested. I mean, as in the smaller graphics card, because my graphics card is quite long and it prevents me from having the tubes down. So I want to do 20 more tests, 10 of which will be with some of which, well, not 10, 8 of which will be with the, where's that, 16? 16 of which will, some of which will be tubes down, some will be tubes up, some will be on the top of the case. I'm sorry, again, I'm feeling a little bit loopy, so mathematics is going on from bad to worse. And I might have to do it in a different case. We'll see. I'm going to try to avoid that just for the sake of consistency. Number 6, the rest of the 40 millimeter initial fan reviews. Number 7, still more 120 millimeter fan reviews because I've still got a lot more 120s to review. And those are also initial fan reviews. Slim fan reviews, maybe also some 80 and 90 millimeter fan reviews because I have a small collection of both slims and small fans. I'm not actively working on these as a focus of my channel at this time. I really can't afford. I would have loved if I had bought when Frozen CPU went out of business. I would have loved to have bought one of every one of their smaller fans, but I had to limit myself because I had already spent so much money. But it would have been a great opportunity, and now, unless I can find another bankruptcy or close out or company shutdown or whatever, sale on fans and coolers and stuff, it's going to be quite some time before I add more to my collection, or my inventory, I should say. Number 9, more initial 360 millimeter AIO reviews. I've got one Arctic, the Liquid Freezer 2. I've got the Ozza Cube, the Be Quiet Pure Loop, Deep Cool LS720, the EK Nucleus, 3 different Enermaxes, one of the Raid Max Tornado LC360, Sama, I think it's like CY360 or something like that, and I've got the Thermalright Frozen Magic Scenic V2. And then I've got a bunch of air coolers I need to do initial reviews of. And where was I? All right, so let's see. So aside from those 11 other water cooler reviews, initial reviews, there's also a bunch of air cooler initial reviews I need to do. I've got 2 Arcasa, 1 Asia Horse, 1 Be Quiet, 1 Cooler Master, 4 Deep Cool, 1 Dynatron, 1 Enermax, 1 Gelid Solutions, 1 Iceberg Thermal, Iceberg Thermal, 1 ID Cooling, 1 Montech, 2 Noctua, 1 PC Cooler, 1 Raijin Tech, 1 Silverstone, 3 Thermalrights, a Vitru, and 2 Zalmans. And no, the Vitru is not the V5. I think that's been beaten to death. I'm doing the U6. Okay. Now, also the test results for coolers and fans. That's going to be an ongoing thing this year and into next year. It's going to take a lot of effort. I'm thinking of doing it one type of test at a time. That way it's easier not to forget things I need to do during each test. Because if I try to do a bunch of different tests, one after the other for each product, I'm more likely to make mistakes and forget things as well. Fan and water cooler sound comparisons, LED fan comparisons, fan airflow and velocity comparisons, fan bearings comparisons, no side mount case testing with the, like I've been working on right now, restricted airflow case testing like this stuff. Also mesh case AIO mounting, micro ATX and ITX case AIO mounting, thermal compounds, and maybe a surprise this year. Maybe. We'll see what happens. So I just wanted to give you that update on some of the things that I have planned. There may be things that I will add or delay depending on how everything goes. I do want to show you something that Tatami Matt designed for me, and I printed out at the library. And please don't shame me because it's ugly, because look, the library does this for free as a service for the community. They let you print things out on their 3D printer. I can't really justify the cost of a 3D printer because, number one, I don't know how to design squat for a 3D printer. and the stuff that I would want from a 3D printer, I would have to be designed for me. So I don't really see the point right now of doing that. Now, if I were going to do something like what Major Hardware does with fan propellers, where he does those competitions where people send in their designs and he just prints them out, then yeah, I could see that. But at this point, I don't have any plans like that. I certainly don't want to encroach on Major Hardware's specialty, and I think it's really cool what he's doing, and support him. Well, verbally, at least. I don't have money to support him. But anyways, also, when they were printing it out, they always ask, what color do you want? And I said, just use whichever color you're trying to get rid of because it's getting old. They use PLA, and PLA is a really good choice for printing most things. And so most of the stuff that they printed was brown. And so what I had Tatami Matt make for me, and thanks to Matt, Tatami is Japanese for Matt, M-A-T, and his name is Matt, M-A-T-T, so I call him Matt. And so thank you, Matt, for designing this. This can hold, if I remember correctly from him, this can hold up to a 240 millimeter fan. So it's really big, and because I told them they can use whatever plastic they want. Now that looks blue on my screen, but this is actually a nice green color. And then we got the white. Had a little bit of problems getting these to join because the tolerances that he built into this were a little bit too precise. Plus the slot for the nut and bolt here is a little bit too small. I probably gave him the wrong dimensions for the nut shaft, and that's why. It's probably my fault, but he did a really good job of figuring out how to do this. I just had to add on this rubber stuff here to help hold the fans in place. Then I just got to figure out what can I do to add here to stabilize the bottom of the fan and the top of the fan here without it actually causing problems for adjusting the size. But as you can see, I can fit a small fan down to, really, really small and all the way up to 240 millimeters square. And it's designed such that the force of the air isn't going to cause it to fall over, which was something he really took very, very seriously. I mean, look how long this is. I've got my ruler here, and we're looking at about 19.5 millimeter long supports in the back. This is the front here. So I'll be using this for sound testing, for velocity and airflow testing, and so on and so forth. And boy, I had to use a mallet to get those two pieces together, and a mallet to get these two pieces together, which are held in place with the puzzle piece also there, and there's puzzle piece here and puzzle piece here. Unfortunately, this part I had to use cyanoacrylate or super glue or crazy glue. I'm going to test that to see how well it can stand up to it. He told me to get Tensol 12, which actually melts the plastic together. I couldn't find it at my local store, so I ended up getting the CA glue. Hopefully it'll be good, but I happen to know that when there's torsion involved, the CA glue can't hold it. It can hold a straight force, but a shearing force or a twisting force, it's not good for that. So I'm going to try to avoid that. But if it turns out that it comes apart, then I'll look for the Tensol 12, or maybe I'll get contact glue, which is supposed to also be a good solution for this, or something similar that'll actually melt the plastic pieces together. The big problem I have, as you can see right here, is this part right here, but it's not critical. It's just, a little problem. So, and you can see back here, you can see the 18 or so 140 millimeter fans right here on top of that blue box that I have to do reviews for. I've already got the data inputted into my database. I just need to make the videos and put them out for you to look at. I know you've been waiting impatiently for all of this stuff that I have been talking about between the fans and the AIO testing. And do keep in mind, I've still got 20 more tests to run. Trying not to think about it too much so I don't get anxious. But I've got 20 more AIO tests to run in my case with the graphics card in the PCIe slot. I know for some of you that doesn't mean anything, but basically it's attached directly to the motherboard. Right now, it's on a separate mount with a cable running from the graphics card to the motherboard so that it can sit on top of the compartment for the power supply. So it's there's a shroud there with some ventilation, and I've just got this thing, this vertical mount for the graphics card sitting on top of the power supply compartment shroud or cover, and it's angled so the fans are blowing up at an angle. I can only turn it so far. Most vertical graphics cards mounts are in a fixed position, and a lot of cases are not designed with enough space between the fans and the left-hand panel, so it basically chokes the graphics card, and that's why I bought this adjustable mount. But now that I've done the 20 plus the 8 specials, using that mount, I'm going to be putting it back into my motherboard, although I may end up having to use a different one. No, not maybe. I'll definitely have to use a smaller graphics card. My son was given this really old EVGA GeForce GTX 760 SC graphics card, which is much shorter than the one that I've got right now. And assuming it works, because I haven't tested it yet, but assuming it works, this will be the one I will use for the other 20 tests that I have planned for the upcoming near future. I mean, really near future, right after the 18 initial fan reviews. So that's most of what's on my mind. I know this is a lot more than the last time I did a release of a video about upcoming plans for the channel. I would like to ask a favor of you. If you are familiar with Patreon, I would like to start getting donations through Patreon. Unfortunately, I am an absolute idiot when it comes to figuring out what to offer in return. And I have very limited time. My travel time between home and work is at the very least on a day when I don't need to get gas or groceries or go to a doctor's appointment or whatever, it's 40 minutes each way. And so that's 5 days a week. And then on the 6th day, I do charitable work, and that's another 30 minutes each way, 35 minutes each way. And then there's also going to visit my mom every week in the nursing home. That's a short trip. It's only about 10 minutes away. So I don't have a lot of time. So I need to, try to be as clever as I can with using my time well. I've stopped playing video games. I rarely watch non-educational videos these days. Most of my videos are about lie detection and computers and education, environment, and nutrition and cybersecurity. But the question is, if I have a Patreon account, I haven't done anything with it. If I start using Patreon to get donations from you guys that are watching this channel, do I need to offer you something in return? If so, please make reasonable suggestions. I don't have a lot of money. I know a guy at work that could make some merch for me, but that means I have to have money coming in to pay for the merchandise. It's not going to be particularly cheap because, this is his business, his side hustle so that he can get out of working at Amazon too. But can you please give me different suggestions for different levels of Patreon donations? Because I really don't know what to do here. I'm just completely baffled about that. At this point, all the money that you donate will go towards testing equipment, getting more things, products to test, and maybe getting some merch out if there's significant interest in actually having merch with, for example, my goofy looking caricature, which my best friend in Indonesia made for me. I did modify it a little bit, but really it's his creative effort. Back when my wife and I were selling food together before she died of cancer. So, yeah. Please give me some feedback. Help me out so that I can do more for you. Because, really, the point of this channel is about me independently verifying in the ways that I can what other reviewers are telling you, because I know there are reviewers that are out there who are lying to us. I know there are reviewers who shill for certain companies. I know that there are reviewers who rig testing to make the product that they're looking at any given time look better than it actually is. I know that there are reviewers who are completely honest. I cannot reproduce things like what say, for example, what Gamers Nexus does, because they've got really expensive equipment. I can't reproduce some of the stuff that Linus Tech Tips does. I definitely cannot reproduce what Aris at Hardware Busters and Cybernetics Labs does, because he's an engineer and he's got super expensive equipment from companies like Longwin. And there are other like when it comes to creators builds and stuff like that, I can't compete with TechNotice, because TechNotice knows way more about creators' computers than I do. I learn from them. They don't learn from me. They never will, because that's their area of expertise, and so on and so forth. And again, there are components that I don't feel comfortable presenting information to you about. And if I do, like when I talked about choosing a graphics card, I'm going to stay within the realm in which I feel I have enough knowledge and I verify it with other people before I put it out there. Like when I consulted a guy who knows a lot about computers on Bleeping Computer to see what he thought. And when I did my review, my video, was it a year ago now, about Windows, installing Windows and Windows keys and stuff like that, reinstalling and all those things. That was something that I drew up the script. I put it forward to a bunch of guys over on Bleeping Computer, and then I took their feedback, I modified my script, and then I produced my video. Most of it was my work, but they did certainly contribute. There was also a little bit of contribution from a small number of individuals on Tom's Hardware, but mostly it was Bleeping Computer and my own knowledge of Windows, and looking at official sources from Windows and so on and so forth. So that's upcoming stuff that I'm going to do. I need your help with Patreon. I need to know if there's a significant interest in merchandise for my channel, and so on and so forth. Please put your comments down below. If you feel like I need to do a poll, let me know, and give me some ideas about what the options should be, whether it should be multiple choice or single choice and all that. I'll do that as well. Thank you so much I've gotten over 100 subscribers now. I feel like that's it's like, it's not a big thing, but it's nice. For a long time, my channel was like 6 viewers or subscribers, that is. And that was because I really wasn't doing much of anything. One last thing. And I have permission from the owner of Bleeping Computers, Lawrence Abrams, a.k.a. Grindler, to do this. I am considering adding cybersecurity news that is published on Bleeping Computer to what I publish on this channel. Would you be interested in me doing that? I'm not going to, do deep dives or anything. I'm basically going to be sharing with you. It's kind of like the channels where they give you the latest news from Intel and AMD. These are press releases that Intel and AMD put out. They're just basically sharing that information on their channel to get more people to come in. So would you be interested? I'm interested in cybersecurity. Darknet Diaries is a fabulous resource. Bleeping Computers is a fabulous resource. There are a couple of other places that I'm aware of that are also great resources. And I would be happy to make short videos about daily and weekly information about cybersecurity. But let me know if that would be of interest to you, if you don't mind. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a fantastic day. And remember, the only way to keep your computer safe from malware is to never turn it on.